Welcome to episode 28 of the Twig Snapper Podcast. Today our guest is Chelsey Goldberg, and we tried to do an episode a couple weeks ago. We had some issues, but here we are. We're back. We're ready, and we seem to be going good so far. So how you doing?
Excellent. Take 5. Let's do it.
Yeah, take 5. They always say third time's a charm, but that didn't work for us. So hopefully
Yeah.
it's fifth time's a charm.
Yeah. But no, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course. So we might as well start in the beginning on when you started to play hockey.
Yeah, I've only been playing for, a long time, but not as long as most players start out playing. I started late in the game. I started out when I was 10, playing roller hockey out in California, Southern California. And then it got too hot outside, 118 degrees playing in the heat just isn't ideal or sustainable. So my twin brother and I asked our parents if we could take it inside, and they said yes. So we went to ice hockey at 12 years old. So we started playing ice hockey at 12, so a little late. But from there, it was just your recreational in-house is what they called it at the time in California. So we played in-house hockey growing up, and then our coaches along the way kept saying, hey, you guys should try to take this further. You have what it takes. You have the skill, the talent, the passion, and the overall just motivation and drive. So from that point on, our mindsets kind of shifted into a recreational standpoint, more competitive based.
You also played lacrosse growing up, right?
Yeah, so we grew up playing. When I say we, my twin brother and I, package deal out here, best friends. But I actually grew up playing all of your typical California sports with the boys. So played baseball with him. We played soccer, played lacrosse. He actually played lacrosse as well for quite some time. He was a goalie. I could not be in that, no way. So props to all the goalies out there, but not for me. So yeah, I played your typical California sports, lacrosse. I was on the swim and water polo team in high school, actually. So hockey was never really in the picture until later on.
And when hockey came into the picture, like, did you have to make a choice then to devote more time to hockey over other sports?
Yeah, that was the tough decision. Is once we really realized that we actually could take hockey to the next level, we did have to put a lot on hold or a lot on the side. I also grew up playing guitar, so I love music as well. We both actually played guitar growing up, so that got put on hold with the different sports that we played as well.
Yeah, definitely. So then, I mean, what was the like, hey, I want to play hockey? When did you realize that? I mean, you said you went inside at 12 years old. Did it take a few years before you kind of like were told, hey, you guys could take this far, or was it, pretty quick that it happened?
It was pretty quick that it happened that we were told, you guys should think about taking this further. And so that was almost right away as soon as we switched to ice hockey. But then it wasn't until I played a few more years with the guys. I played until I was 16 with the guys. And then I actually got hit from behind, got a concussion. And I realized at that point I needed to switch to the women's game if I wanted a chance, one, to get seen for college, but two, just for my own safety. Everyone started getting bigger, faster, stronger. And I pretty much stopped growing at that point. So I would say at 16 is when I really realized if I wanted to, take my own career and kind of separate from the boys, that I had to switch at that point in my career.
Yeah, definitely. And then you played your college hockey at Northeastern, but you broke both of your fibulas. Where was that in the timeline?
Yeah, so so somewhere in the mix, I was not being recruited, but I was in the pool for the under 18 national team. I was fortunate enough to attend every single under, I think it starts at under 14, 15, 16, 17 national development camp. So I was fortunate enough to actually attend every single one of those from my birth year at the time. I'm at my respective birth year, and I was in the pool of the under 18 national team at that point, and so my name started to get in the mix of top talent in the country for my age bracket. And at that point in time, I had gotten seen by a hockey academy coach, and this hockey academy actually was in Stowe, Vermont at the time. They're now in Boston, but um, long story short, he was like, "Hey, Chelsey, what are your plans for next season? We have one more spot on our older team. You should consider coming. We have a track record of getting all these girls committed to the university that they want to go to, Division One, national team, yada yada." And so I ended up making that tough decision to move across the country at age 16 and play for North American Hockey Academy in Stowe, Vermont for 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school. And shortly after I'd gotten there, we had started the season off right away with some camps in Vermont. We traveled to Boston pretty much every weekend, and that's actually how I knew I wanted to go to school in Boston. And so in that whole process, I had written down what colleges were my top choice, where I could see myself going, what I might be interested in. And long story short, I committed to Northeastern pretty early and in my career. And then I actually broke both my legs after I committed. So my junior and senior year of high school, I broke both legs. And so ended up being out of competition for 4 years. It was pretty gnarly, pretty crazy, pretty hard time in my life. At that point, I had to call my soon-to-be college coach and say, "Hey, I just broke my second leg." And he was really understanding. He actually honored my scholarship. So that's kind of unheard of in the college world, especially if you get injured. So very grateful for him. I appreciate him. And he actually, made me work extra hard to get back and recovered and even stronger, faster, better than I was before. So it wasn't until my junior year of college that I was able to play again. And so my junior year at Northeastern in Boston, I scored 2 shorthanded goals my first game back. So it felt really good. My family was in the stands, and it felt like full circle. All my hard work and effort to recover and get back into it paid off in the end.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously no injury recovery is easy, but was it a little bit easier with the second one because you already kind of knew what you were getting yourself into? Like you already had recovered from one. So then was the second one like, I already know what to expect? Did it make it a little bit easier going through it?
It was different. So the two, I guess, recovery timelines were different. The first one was 6 months, and that was just because the bones wouldn't heal. So I was out for a prolonged time at that point. And then the second one was a clean break in 4 places. So that one needed automatic surgery. And so I got some hardware put into my leg, and that actually cut the recovery time in half from 6 months to 3 months. Obviously there was a little bit more complications, so it ended up taking longer. And when you have hardware put in, it's a little bit of a different recovery, I would say, especially getting used to something that is inside your leg that you weren't used to before. So it was different. I wouldn't say easier. I would actually say it almost got harder, just because mentally now I'm really approaching college, and at that point, USA Hockey kind of, they just moved on to their talent pool just because I couldn't compete. I was out of the mix at that point. And so there were a lot of other challenges that was going on at the same time while I was broken that did not help with the mental state, and it was very difficult. It was actually one of the hardest times in my life, to be quite honest, mentally. So it was tough to overcome, but that's why when I say it felt like my junior year, first game back, it was just, it really felt like everything that I had done to recover and get back into it 4 years later really paid off. And it was a really good feeling at that point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way come back to hockey. I mean, you've been away for so long. I'm sure you were nervous coming back. Like, am I going to be at the same level I was before? Can I play at this level? And then that just kind of gives you that confidence that you need in after such a tough time. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helped that my coaches had confidence to even put me on the penalty kill. But I love blocking shots. I love, getting dirty in the corners and doing everything for my team to win. So for him to trust me on the penalty kill, I think definitely gave myself more confidence at the same time. And, it just took what we watched in video the day before and literally did exactly what was on video and got him 2 shorthanded goals. So it was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. But then I was reading on Wikipedia, and I know not everything's always true on there. It said that you had to get the screws removed from your fibula due to nerve pain.
Yeah, so that was part of the 4-year process. So it wasn't just like I was out for 4 years because of the broken legs. It was, like I said, there was more complication in the mix. And so junior, senior, both fibulas got broken. I get to Northeastern, start practicing with the team, and I get mono. Classic, right? So I get mono freshman year, and I'm actually out for the whole season just because my case of mono was so bad. I didn't know I had mono until November, and I kept playing on it, and my spleen and liver were so enlarged that my team doctor just would not clear me to play. And so I was super sick. My coach actually sent me home on a leave of absence from Northeastern, like sent me home to California. That's how sick I was. And so I actually missed that whole year, my freshman year playing just from mono. And then, so that's the 3rd year. And then 4th year, sophomore year at Northeastern, again, all summer long training, working hard to get back into it. And sophomore year comes around, and I'm on the ice every single day. And after I take my skates off in the locker room, my ankle is like this big. It's like a balloon. And so I go into my training room, and I'm like, what is going on? I can't, like, my ankle is huge. It feels like I broke my ankle again, like literally broke my leg again. And so my team trainer at the time ordered me I think it was an X-ray or an MRI or both with my team doctor. And so I went to my team doctor, got it checked out, and he was like, Chelsey, from what I can see, just for your own future and for your own health and safety, we got to get this hardware out because the 5th screw, so it should have been going like this into my fibula, but it was going down into my ankle bone. And so it was causing a lot of nerve damage, a lot of swelling, a lot of anger to the ankle and to my fibula. And so irritation was what I was going through every single day, and I couldn't do it anymore. So had to get the hardware out my sophomore year. So I missed my sophomore year. And at that point, my coach, he actually did offer me a red shirt, but I just, like I said, it was mentally so challenging and taxing. I couldn't do it. So I ended up declining my red shirts that were offered. And so that's why junior year was my first year back in 4 years. And yeah, it was just super tough overall, but made me a better and stronger person in the end. So honestly, I wouldn't change a thing, and I would actually go through the whole process over again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you really got put through the ringer there those 4 years, but like you said, it makes you a stronger person. It really shows you what you're made out of. I mean, when you go through all that. So it's not like anyone wants that stuff to happen, but when it does, it can actually, good things can come out of it in the end.
That's actually a lesson that I learned super young, I would say, is that honestly embrace the adversity. It's so difficult and it might not be the easiest to hear, but if you can change your mindset and switch it to, like, once all said and done, it's going to be a positive and you're going to become a better and stronger person from it. You just are. Like, if you get through challenges like that, you will become a better person.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice to give to younger athletes is when things get in your way, whether it's injuries or just like coach puts you on the bench or whatever it is, you got to use that to your advantage. And I think if kids kind of get that piece of advice early on, it can really, really help them.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's definitely where mental toughness comes into play, right? I think you could take it one of two ways. You can take it, learn from it, grow from it, get stronger from it, or you can quit. And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit, to be honest. I was like, man, is this a sign that I need to quit? Like, what's going on year after year, injury after injury, adversity after adversity? I'm like, what is going on? And so, just back to my point, I think if you take that and you quit from it, that's one option. Or two, you can fight through that, and the lessons that you learn along the way will only help you for the rest of your life. I mean, it humbled me out. And I can't be more grateful for those opportunities to go through those challenges that I faced.
Yeah, and definitely. And if you would have quit, you would have regretted it. I mean, most people always do. So if you just power through it, it will get better. And
For
it did for
sure.
you, especially it did for you because after Northeastern, you did play some pro hockey. It said you guys traveled to China with the pro hockey team and played some games over there. So all of that would have never happened if you quit.
No, exactly. I mean, I realized so Northeastern University is a unique situation where you get 5 years and you can do a couple of co-ops. I think you can do up to 3 co-ops actually while you're at university. And because I was broken, so this actually kind of played in my favor. I asked my coach if I could take advantage of the co-op program that we had, and he said yes. So I took a couple of co-op opportunities, which for those that don't know, you can take 2 or 3 co-ops and it's 6-month internships, and it basically counts for class credit towards your major. So instead of taking classes for, that semester, those 6 months, you actually can work, a 6-month internship and get a work experience. And so I took full advantage of that. And that was something that obviously taught me, life skills off the ice as well and work experience and whatnot. But my 5th year, because I also declined the red shirt, I had my 5th year just living as a student, no athlete title, just student at Northeastern my 5th year, on co-op and graduating undergrad. And I realized that I missed that sense of family. I missed the sisterhood. I missed working out with more of a purpose. I still worked out, but it wasn't obviously as intense and it wasn't as strict of a training program. It was more casual, but I missed training with that purpose to, you know, compete for a spot or get stronger than I was yesterday or better than I was yesterday. And so I realized I missed hockey. And I just think I'm big on, manifesting and putting stuff out into the universe that, you want to get back and whatnot. And so I learned a lot of that through recovering with those broken legs and whatnot. And I actually applied to a graduate program at Northeastern. I got accepted. And so I knew I was staying in Boston. I knew I was going back to school, getting my master's. And all at the same time, I got a call from the Boston professional team's coach. And he actually happened to be recruiting me before I signed at Northeastern. So he was a college coach before he turned into a professional coach. And he called me and he was like, Chelsey, we'd love to have you come out. We have a couple extra spots, yada, yada. And so I thought about it, and fast forward to, I don't know, I think fall of 2015, I graduated undergrad at Northeastern. I actually signed my first pro contract in 2016. I got drafted first round. I think it was 6th overall to the Boston team in my professional league. It was the Canadian Women's Hockey League at the time, and signed my first pro contract and started grad school at Northeastern. And so that was when my professional career started, and I think this is my 7th year actually still playing professionally today. So
Definitely.
a lot has changed in the professional world, but we're actually on strike right now, fighting for a sustainable league in the PWHPA, which is the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association.
So, a question I've always wondered about women's hockey. You said you were going to grad school and playing at the same time. In women's pro hockey, do most of the players do other things on the side, have jobs, go to school, whatever?
Yeah, we all have to. So that's part of why we're on strike right now, is fighting for a league where we can make enough money to live playing hockey and focus solely on hockey, where we all at this point in time, we all have to work a full-time job to even make enough money to live. So right now we can't make enough money just playing hockey, and that's why we're on strike right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's been a lot of growth, like you said, in women's hockey, but obviously there's still plenty of work to be done. And I remember back during the Olympics, a lot of the big women's hockey players in the world were basically saying, people love women's hockey at the Olympics, and then it just kind of goes away and they like shove it to the back once the Olympics are over. And then in 4 years, the Olympics come around and they bring it back in the front. And basically, like, there's no need to do that. I mean, obviously the Olympics are this big stage, but there's no reason why it should get shoved back like behind the NHL and behind everything else. I mean, women's hockey players are amazing. Since doing this podcast, I've interviewed quite a few, and it's really amazing. I mean, they go through the same adversities the men's hockey players, more sometimes with trying to get some footing. But I mean, like, to the injury stuff and the skill and all of that, it's really incredible. So obviously it's good that it's moving in a good direction, but there's still plenty of work to be done.
Plenty of work to do. I think our viewing stats prove that women's hockey is a popular sport to watch, especially at the Olympic level when you have the Canadian American rivalry, and you have other teams in the mix now. It's such a fun sport to watch. And so I think you're absolutely right. There's no reason it should just be every 4 years, get excited, women's hockey's back. It should be an every year situation and an every year event to go to and an event to watch. So that's exactly what we're fighting for, and we've got some great momentum. So I think there's a lot of exciting things ahead for women's hockey.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, women's hockey for the US has pretty much been the pride of USA hockey recently, because the men haven't been able to win a medal, or I mean, they get upset. And I'm not trying to diss the men's team. I'm just saying, like, recently USA hockey has been crowned by the women's team and their success. So there's no reason why that should get shoved away when the 4 years are, in that window.
Yeah, it's super special to see. I mean, for me, I'm really proud of all those girls. I actually play with and against all of them in the PWHPA, and so a lot of them have turned into some good friends of mine. There's a lot of players in that, on that USA team that I've played with in college or played against in college and currently play with professionally. So to see their success and to see the success that the women's USA team is having right now is just so incredible. And it just proves that, women's hockey is here to stay and it shouldn't go anywhere.
Right, exactly. And you did something pretty big with women's hockey now I'm going to probably screw up the pronunciation, but they're called the Jewish Olympics. How do you say it? Why don't you just say it, cuz you probably know how to say it. The
Yeah. Yeah. So it's shortened Maccabee. It's Maccabiah is the full, Maccabiah Games is the full name, but it's easier to shorten it to Maccabee Games, Maccabi Games. Most people in the United States, North America, it's Maccabi Games. So the past 8 years now, I have been working on a project to get women's hockey to Israel to the Maccabi Games. My twin brother, he got rostered on the 2013 and 2017 men's ice hockey team for Maccabi to go to Israel. And I was like, why can't I play? So I actually asked if I could play. and I got told no a couple times. And so from that point on, I was like, all right, we're getting women's hockey to the Maccabiah Games to Israel. I don't know when, I don't know how, but we're going to do it. And so I teamed up with a couple of co-chairs from the USA Maccabi staff, and we went to battle. And after 8 years, it finally happened this past July 2022, and it was the most incredible experience that I could have asked for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for those who don't know, it's like the third largest sporting event in the world. Over 10,000 athletes from 60 countries competing in numerous sports. So it's a really big deal. I'd never heard of it before. I guess there's not a lot of media coverage out there on it, which there should be, because it looks like there's a lot of amazing things and a lot of really big athletes compete at it. Like for the men's hockey, there were some different big named NHL players that have played on the men's side for Team Canada and various teams. So it's a really huge thing for those who don't know about it. Go check it out. There's a lot of good stuff there. But I mean, that's just another example what you did getting women's hockey there. It's another step in the right direction, putting women's hockey on equal footing with men's hockey.
Yeah, for sure. I think to kind of back your point, for those that don't know, I think it actually just got rated second largest in the world behind the Olympics now. I think you
Okay.
have the Olympic Games and then Maccabi, and it's, yeah, like you said, over 10,000 Jewish athletes from around the world travel to Israel to compete in their respective sports. So that's why it's otherwise known as the Jewish Olympics, because it is, a place for all the Jewish athletes to come together and combine their faith and their religious background with their sport. And it's just such an incredible feeling to represent your country on that kind of stage. And the arena that we played in Jerusalem is amazing. It's like an NHL arena. It's like an Olympic arena, like an Olympic event. And so we didn't happen to win gold this year, but I can honestly say that it was just, I think we all won the gold medal experience, to be honest. And so I think it was just such a big accomplishment for women's hockey as a whole. And there's only more to come. It was just the beginning, and I would love to see Team Israel continue to grow. And I want to help them as much as I can to continue to compete at an international stage. So I know they just got recognized by the IHF. The president, Luke Tardif, was actually in the stands watching us. I shook his hand. I presented him with a USA jersey, and it's amazing to see Israel, starting a women's program, and I can't wait to see where they get to. And it would be an honor to help them along the way, continue to play on that international stage.
Yeah, definitely. So what women's teams were represented in this first year?
It was only USA, Canada, and Israel. And we learned along the way, along the 8-year process, we were on one of our monthly calls, and we learned that in order to get women's hockey there, we needed at least 3 teams. And so once we realized we had enough talent and interest on the Canadian and American side, we had at the same time found out that Team Israel was already practicing. So we're like, oh my gosh, there's our 3 teams. So that was it, but we're hoping to continue to grow for the next games, and we're hoping to maybe add a European team into the mix. So for all you Jewish female hockey players, if you know any European players that want to play, send my way. But yeah, we're only growing from here, and again, it just comes full circle to what we're doing in the PWHPA as far as growing the game and getting the awareness out there to the fans and to younger hockey girls that dream of playing professional or dream of playing in the Olympics. And that's why I'm playing, is to help create this league for that younger generation to have a place to play later on.
Yeah, definitely. I think women's hockey's headed in a great direction. I think you mentioned earlier how it's getting more competitive too. For a while there, it was kind of like the US and Canada and some other teams that couldn't really compete. But if you look now, even at the Olympics, other teams are starting to really get to that level. It's a higher level. I think I just saw in the women's world that a Swiss player scored the first goal against Canada ever for the Swiss women's team or something like that. So, I mean, when stuff like that starts to happen, I think it's really a good direction for women's hockey. And then with the pro growing and women's college hockey is becoming it's becoming more massive every year, with like the playoffs and the kind of the level that they're at. I think you couldn't really ask for a better direction to be headed.
No, it's amazing to see the support and the growth of the collegiate game as a whole as well. And I know times have changed even when I went to college to what, the opportunities and the resources that these girls have now. It's incredible to see. So you're absolutely right. It's going in an up direction from here, and there's so many exciting times ahead. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, definitely. So you were also entered into the Jewish Hall of Fame, or is it the California Jewish Hall of Fame? What exactly is it that you were entered into?
Yeah, so it's the Southern California Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. I was inducted in 2020, so a few years back now, right before the pandemic really got underway. It was at the Skirball Cultural Center out here in LA, and so I'm from LA, born and raised, and so that was a really special honor, and I didn't know it existed until I received an email, or a message on LinkedIn, actually. LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms, by the way, just like one of my favorite professional platforms. And I use LinkedIn almost every day to connect with people, chat with people. I love it. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. But I got this message, and it was like, congratulations, you've been selected, whatever it said. And I was like, is this spam? Like, I had no idea, because I've never heard of this before. And so it took me some researching and some Googling and whatnot to realize that this was legit. And fast forward to January of 2020, I actually was living in Boston at the time. So I was living in Boston the past 10 years. And I flew home from Boston and accepted my award, and it was really, really cool, actually. It was a big ceremony, a big deal. I got inducted into the Hall of Fame with some other sports players like Jock Peterson, who was former Dodger player. There were some other MLB players. Cody Decker was there alongside me. Tennis player, fencing player. So really, really cool experience. And I mean, I'm still good friends with my other inductee members. So it was just another one of those, like, wow, full circle. All my hard work is, paying off. And um, I guess my motivation and determination to overcome all the adversity is, like I said, it's something that I have worked hard to overcome and mentally get past, but it's definitely coming full circle, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, definitely. It's an amazing accomplishment. And then, like we were talking about, when you were thinking about quitting, when you worked through that adversity and then this is the end result, you can't be happier with yourself for making the decision to work through it, because then you get this amazing honor, and then it really helps boost your confidence even more, and then reassure you that you made the right decision to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not even just like a confidence booster. It's more so just like, self love and self, I guess, self acceptance and proudness that I made the right decision to continue to fight through it. And like I said, life lesson along the way, you just never give up. And if there's any advice I can give to younger athletes or anyone going through any adversity, any injuries, I mean, feel free to reach out, obviously, but never give up. I mean, always fight for something greater than yourself. At that point in my career, I was fighting for, my coaches that believed in me, my family that believed in me, my friends along the way. And it was actually bigger than myself. I knew that, all these people believed in me. I needed to believe in myself too. And so at the end of the day, you have to want to do it yourself. But the feeling at the end of the tunnel when you do overcome the adversity is something that you can't even describe.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, going through all of that and then the end result, how you feel after that. It's got to be really surreal too. I mean, to think like I'm here in this moment, this is where I came from, and this is where I am.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was in Israel, it really didn't even hit me. The whole time I was in Israel, it was like I was living, every day in the moment, just so grateful to be there. And Israel is so beautiful. I think regardless of, your religious background or who you are, I think every single person needs to go to Israel. Just it's a beautiful country and a beautiful place. And the whole time I was there, it was such a surreal feeling because I wanted to embrace and just live in the moment every single day, but it was also one of those feelings of like, wow, this actually happened. We're actually in Israel. And so it was just something that I can't even put into words of what I was feeling. And I'm still reflecting back on the experience to this day, being like, what just happened? Like, what did I just experience? That one time dream turned into reality, and it was just the most incredible feeling in the world.
Yeah, and then I'm sure it went by pretty quickly. I mean, I've talked to some different Olympic athletes, and the Olympics are pretty long. And I asked them, does it go by pretty quickly? And they're like, yeah, I mean, it's a couple weeks long, but it's over before you know it. And then you look back, and you just can't believe what you just did. It's got to be the same thing, like you're saying. You just when you're there, it's hard to take it all in until after, when you kind of really realize what you went through.
Same feeling. I mean, we were there for a month, so we had training camp before we left for Israel, in Philadelphia. Our teams, both men and women's teams, met in Philadelphia for training camp, and then we bused to Newark, New Jersey, flew out of there. We were in Israel for just shy of a month, and it flew by. I mean, it felt like a week we were there. That's how fast it flew by. But um, Maccabi USA does this cool program where we actually go to Israel the week before opening ceremonies, and we tour, we experience, some cultural activities, and we honestly just get to see the beautiful, sights, sounds, views of Israel, and experience, like I said, all the cultural components to it. And so for a week long, we were, out and about in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, all over Israel before the games actually began. So um, we did a lot while we were there, including, you know, playing hockey, obviously, is why we were there. But in addition to that, there was more to it. And I think that definitely helped the time go by faster. I didn't want it to go by any faster than it did, but I think that made it go by a lot quicker. Just, every day was packed full of an activity or three activities a day. So, yeah, a month felt like a week, maybe even a few days. It was, it felt so quick. It flew by, but I actually came home and I was like, I want to move there. I could see myself living in Israel now. Just that's how much fun we had. That's how amazing of an experience it was. And I think if you ask any one of my teammates, they'll say the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you guys liked it that much. It was that amazing. And I think that's just so true with everything, taking trips, going to amazing places, having amazing events. It always goes by so quickly. It's just like even when you're a kid, summer goes by so quickly. It's like it's over. But this is just like an even bigger, and it never changes. You go on a trip, you get to the Olympics, you get to the Maccabiah Games, you play your college hockey. It all goes by in a blink of an eye. So everyone's got to just soak in every moment while you can.
Soak in the experience for sure. I think, like I said, at the end of the day, the reason I'm still playing is to continue to give these younger girls and the younger generations a place to dream of playing, post college especially. And for me, hockey has given me the most incredible opportunities, kind of like we talked about. I've gotten to travel the world at this point, not just the country, not just our nation. I mean the world. and have played on some pretty incredible stages in front of many fans. And that's exactly why I'm still doing what I'm doing, fighting in the PWHPA and fighting to get women's hockey to the Maccabiah Games, is to give back to the game that has given me so much. And I want nothing more than to see the younger generations have the same, if not better, experiences from hockey. Traveling the world, traveling to different countries and different states, and meeting new people and getting to experience new cultures. It's incredible. So that's my goal as to why I'm still playing, and why I'm still doing what I'm doing, fighting for women's hockey as hard as we are.
Yeah, I think the hockey community, it's a really great sports community. It's a really tight community. And it's when people say it's more than just a game, I mean, it really is. Like you're talking about all the cultural stuff. I mean, with hockey, that led you to go all over the world. That led you to do all these things. And there's so much other great stuff that comes out of the game of hockey. I think it's just another, just kind of, I guess I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but just another thing that makes the hockey community so great, that all this other stuff can come from a sport. And I think that's why sports are so great. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't like sports, they don't like to watch them, but I don't think you can deny that sports bring people together, and they bring more than just football, hockey, or basketball.
It's the overall experience, no doubt. It's not just about the game, it's about the lifelong friendships, relationships that you make along the way, and the people from different countries and, like we said, different cultures that you see and you experience and you learn about. I think that's one of the coolest things. I mean, playing in China, playing in Israel, playing in Europe, playing all over, it's crazy what you experience. And it's more than just the game, for sure. It's about the overall experience. So you're absolutely right.
And then the people of hockey, I feel like all the time in podcasts, I'll mention somebody's name and somebody else knows them. I mean, everybody knows each other. It's a tight community. Players, you meet somebody once, and then somebody else will mention their name, and you remember it. I mean, it's really kind of incredible how in hockey so many people are connected.
Small world. I mean, the world's so small in general. But the hockey world is even smaller, as crazy as that is. And then the women's hockey world is even smaller, just because it's still such a growing game. So yeah, mutually you pretty much know of, or have heard of most players in the women's game, at the higher levels and whatnot, and even at the college levels. I mean, it's a pretty mutually respected game where you either know of them, have heard of them, or somebody else that you know very closely knows them. It's really special, really, really special.
It is definitely. So let's talk about just you for a little bit. What do you like? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do when you're not playing hockey and not trying to grow the women's game and not doing all that? What do you like to do for fun?
I'll actually show you something. I love music, so I'm learning how to produce right now. I don't know if this is gonna work. Got my little keyboard here, but yeah, I love music. I grew up playing guitar. I mentioned that earlier on, that I kind of had to stop that when hockey um, started getting more competitive. But music's kind of my escape. Working out is my escape. Music's my escape. But I'm learning how to produce EDM music right now. That's kind of a fun hobby that I'm doing on the side. I love hanging with friends, going to the beach, snowboarding, pretty much anything outdoors, staying active. I love going out doing stuff. So whether that's, hanging out at like a loungy bar, or just meeting up with friends to get coffee, or whatever it is, you can find me pretty much anywhere, out and about. So um, just meeting new people is one of my favorite things to do. And I'm always up for a good time.
Yeah. So what's your favorite kind of music to listen to? If you're just gonna throw on some jams and just relax and take a break from the world, what do you want to listen to?
I'm a country girl, so I love country, but I also, like I said, I'm learning how to produce EDM. I love EDM, so country and EDM. Kygo's my main guy on the EDM side. I love Cole Swindell, Jordan Davis. I love the Mitch Tenpenny. I love the up and coming artists that, are just starting to break through. I see a lot of those artists that will open for the bigger names at different shows or different events. And I just think about all the perseverance that they're going through at the same time, fighting for their career and what they want to do for a living. And so just so much respect to them, and it gives you kind of more of an appreciation for what they do. So those name artists that you don't hear every single day on the radio, but you kind of have to dig through to listen to and whatnot. Those are my favorite artists. And on the country side and the EDM side, I listen to pretty much every genre. I'm not a big rap fan, but pretty much everything else, alternative pop. The latest hits are always going through my shuffle. So
Yeah, well, that's so true. Some of the best stuff you got to dig for a little bit, and some of the up and coming artists, I mean, you dig a little bit, but then you really find some gems there, some good stuff to listen to.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Even on, I don't know how Apple Music works, but the Spotify, when it's like based on your liked songs or based off this song, and then it kind of just gets you down a rabbit hole of all the music that relates to that one song, and it's awesome. I mean, you can find so many good songs that way.
Yeah, I like how it puts the like related artists to a group, and you can go through and see all these other bands and start clicking on them. You can really waste hours and hours of the day, not
Hours.
even waste, just spend hours of the day
Yeah.
just digging deep and listening to music and kind of escaping from everything else.
That's what I mean. It's such a good escape. For me, no matter what mood I'm in, I'm putting music on. And yeah, it's a great time killer for sure when you're just in the car or jamming out at home, whatever you're doing. I think I go down the rabbit hole of those based on playlists, based on artist settings. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I love music too. I know there's a lot of people who, like, when they study, they don't want music. When they work out, they don't want music. They'll just like
Oh,
sit in a room in silence. And I always need music. I can't handle that silence and not hearing music. I need it always. It's
no, I'm so with you. I was always the one studying for a test, like in study hall with my headphones in or jamming just like quietly, and some people need the complete silence, but I actually need distraction. In order to focus, I need the distraction. I need to be at a coffee shop. I mean, when I was at Northeastern, I needed to be at study hall just to be around other people. Just so if I did need like a little study break, I could go right to my neighbor, or listening to music, I'm jamming out at the same time. So I'm with you there 100%.
yeah. And you're a Dodgers fan, I'm guessing, based on the hat and being from LA.
Oh yeah, early start to my day here, so I just decided to throw on a hat for you. But this was the first hat I saw. But yeah, Dodgers
Oh,
fan. They're having a great year this year. I don't know if you follow baseball at all,
yeah,
but
I do. I don't like the Dodgers.
yeah,
I don't know if you can see, but I've got a Diamondbacks pennant behind me, and being in the same whatever you conference or whatever, I can't really like the Dodgers and
yeah, that's fair.
So are you other LA sports fan too? Kings, Rams, all that stuff?
Oh yeah, growing up it was always Dodgers, Kings, and Lakers. Those were the three main. Um, and honestly, LA Rams, LA Chargers, I love watching football, but I'm not as invested, I would say, as I am to the other LA teams, just because they're newer teams for us. You know what I mean? So, a lot of respect to them. I think one of my old teammates from Northeastern, Kendall Coyne, her husband was actually on the Chargers last year, and so the Chargers, a lot of respect to them, especially because of that. They're a fun team to watch, and then obviously the Rams winning, super cool. Really great for LA, but yeah, more of a, I would say, I can honestly say probably more of a bandwagon fan for, the Chargers or the Rams, just because I don't know enough about the team or the players as a whole. So I want to say I'm a Rams fan. They won the Super Bowl, so it's awesome, but it's like I don't know them as well as I know the Dodgers or the Kings or even the Lakers and whatnot.
Right, it's hard when they move teams to new cities. It's not the same. I mean, just moving the Chargers from San Diego to LA, and then the Rams going from St. Louis to LA. It's not the same, like you're saying about the Dodgers, the Kings, the Lakers. I mean, there's so much more history with LA with all those teams than there is with the Rams and the Chargers.
Right, and then even we have memories of, my dad and my grandfather and our whole family growing up going to these sporting events as like, a fun outing. And so my memories growing up when I was living in California was going to the Dodger game, going to the Kings game, going to Laker games. That was just so fun. I mean, getting to see Kobe Bryant play live is something that a lot of people can't say that they've done, right? And so
Yeah.
um that's where more of my memories fall with the LA teams that I mentioned versus I've I've gone to SoFi for a couple of events, but I've never gone to SoFi Stadium for a Rams or a Chargers game yet. So it's just different.
Yeah, definitely. I can't say I can get behind the Kings either though, because I'm a Ducks fan. So that's got
Yeah,
some conflicts there too. conflicts there
yeah,
too.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Well, I think we covered about everything that we needed to cover and lots to talk about, but definitely really cool hearing about everything. And it's awesome what you've been able to do with women's hockey and what you're still doing with women's hockey with the Maccabiah Games and pro women's hockey. And hopefully you guys get what you deserve. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time, but hopefully sooner than later, it all starts coming full circle.
No, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I love having a conversation with people about what I've been through, and if there's any help along the way that I can provide to, anyone growing up on the women's side, the men's side that might be going through any adversity or injuries, or they just want to chat and pick my brain, I'm always here. So I appreciate you having me. It's always fun to talk about things that I might not be talking about every single day.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for coming on. I love hearing everybody's story, sharing the stories, because I mean that's a really important part of the game. I mean, not being an athlete, you can still help the game. I think by sharing everything that everyone else is doing, it's pretty important. I think, and it's
For
fun. I enjoy hearing everything and meeting all the athletes.
for sure, and it's super powerful. I think obviously personally, like, I've learned so much about myself and so much about overcoming the adversity from going through all that, but I think you could also learn from other people as well at the same time. You know what I mean? So you can
Yeah,
take some advice from somebody that's actually gone through it or experienced a situation that you might not have experienced yet, and, like, when the time comes and you're feeling a certain type of relation to what you just heard on Alex's podcast, you're like, "Oh, wow, like, maybe I could take that and, apply that and learn from it myself."
yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of truth to what you just said. So yeah, thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.